to the curriculum. The mad rush for diploma and degree certificates through distance and sandwich education programs by teachers is heavily eating up the quality of contact hours between teachers and pupils in most basic schools. This means that the quality of school monitoring and supervision has to some extent been compromised by the Education Directorate. The pursuance of district education programs by teachers is most pronounced in the central region where tertiary institutions for teacher education are mostly located. We speak of the University of Cape Coast and the University College of Education located in Winnipeg. Tonight, we examine the negative effects of teacher education and the quality of school monitoring and supervision. And I'm happy to say that I'm joined in the studio by three gentlemen who are very passionate about education. The very first is to my left, Mr. Amanor-Afari, who is the Circuit Supervisor in the Cape Coast Metro Education Office. Next to him is Mr. Kwesi Addison. He comes to us also from Cape Coast, the Regional Education Office. He's the Deputy Director of Education. Next to him is Mr. Haffar. He is the founder of the Gifted and Talented Education Institute, known as the Gates Institute here in Accra. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Before we begin the discussion, which I'm going to begin with you, Mr. Mano, let me remind all of us that we are receiving support from Star Ghana, Strengthening Transparency and Accountability Responsiveness in Ghana, for this program, the curriculum. And listeners and viewers can also join us sometime in the program. We'll be opening our traditional phone lines. We'll announce the numbers later in the show. But our social media partners can begin talking to us. And you can send text via WhatsApp. The number is 0505-311-879. Please do not call this number. You can only send text, and that is 0505-311-879. You have the opportunity to call in later on the show at a number that we will be mentioning later on the show. On Twitter, with hashtag CurriculumGH, you can follow us. The handle is @CurriculumGH, @CurriculumGH. Let me start with you, Mr. Amanor-Afari. Why the mad rush for diploma and degree certificates through distance and sandwich programs by teachers of late? Why the mad rush?
Thank you very much, Becky. I think for the time past, most of teachers who comes out were put on certificate A. Then there was a policy for upgrading of all the colleges of education from certificate A to diploma. And then that is one side. Then along the line, the unions, the NAGRADs, the NADs, and the others, they fought for a level whereby a graduate will be equal to almost all, a graduate teacher, I must say, will be equal to every graduate working in any other institution other than the Ghana Education Service. Today, most of the teachers realize if you don't rush for that certificate, they will still be below the ladder. So just as they complete school, they just join. And then there also, it used to be, there was a caveat on how to go or progress in the olden days, whereby when you complete school, you have to serve on probation for a number of years before you can progress. But this time, because the doors are open and there's no restriction, the moment our sisters and brothers complete the College of Education, they just enroll. So everybody moves in, no check, and then they go in, and then the repercussion is what we are seeing now.
Mr. Addison, is that the situation? You have something else, which is why there's a mad rush for teachers going into this sandwich and other programs to upgrade themselves?
Yeah, I think Mr. Mano hit the nail right on the head. Yeah, well, we can see that previously, before one can aspire to a principal superintendent, you might have taught for about 15 years. 15 years. But as Mr. Amanor rightly put it, now you just come out of university, and before you are aware, you are a principal superintendent. And this is pushing so many teachers on to upgrade themselves so that they don't spend so many years waiting for promotions or just waiting for manna to fall from heaven. So they just rush. They come from university within 3 years, or the moment they come, they just get their principal superintendent. And so somebody also coming from a college of education, he comes with a diploma. So he must upgrade himself to be able to do what? Get the principal superintendent within a very short time. And that's what is driving most of them up to aspire to go in for this. And as he said, distance and sandwich programs are perhaps the best options now open for them to upgrade themselves to be able to access that promotion, which some of us had it a very long time. So in fact, I can't just believe in more than what he's saying. You just hit the nail right on the head.
Okay. Mr. Haffar, do you see promotion as the main reason why the teachers just want to go and enroll in these programs? Do you see?
Right. I mean, everybody wants to be promoted one way or the other. I would imagine that people, teachers, want to upgrade themselves to, let's say, certificate A. That shows ambition. And I can imagine how certificate teachers would like to have a diploma and to a degree and even a master's degree. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if we can have this across the board in Ghana, that means we are all inspired to do much better than what we're doing. That's the first part. Now, the caveat is this. Many times when I've gone to the rural areas, for example, the rooms are barely empty, in a sense that everyone is out trying to get some other certification. There's nothing wrong with that. But since that system is not working, now we have to begin to look at a plan B. Plan A is what we've been doing normally now, where we are doing the sandwich programs and this other program that we're talking about, the distance learning. Good. So now we have to kick in plan B. And that's what I suggest. When we look at the 200 districts in this country, there has to be an opportunity for everybody, every teacher in the district to aspire to even a master's degree. But where are they going to do that? They should not leave the schools and go somewhere else. So what I keep suggesting is this. If we have 200 districts here, we need to have a center where the promotions or where upgrading skills can happen. And it's not a big deal, you know. We can look at one district, and all we need, frankly, are 2 large rooms. One will be a lecture hall, and the other one will be a large room that has computers to accommodate teachers. Those are the 2 things that we need, really. It's not a big deal. But we should not condone this business of having everybody leave the classrooms, and people love to leave the classroom because it's less work. You know, we have a culture in this country where everybody wants to sit behind a desk, or that there's an excuse not to be doing the things that we are supposed to do. So we have to begin to look at that very carefully.
Exactly. And Mr. Amanor, let's look at the effects, the consequences of this distance education on the quality of instructional hours. We'll talk about pupil time on task, teacher time on task. What are the consequences? I know you've been talking a lot about that.
Thank you, Becky. As rightly said, pupil time on task and teacher time on task. Irrespective of head teachers at posts, monitoring the teachers, I'm not sure all the head teachers can be in all the classrooms at all time. So the moment the teachers go to school, what they do is they give the exercises on board, as I've already illustrated, and then they'll be sitting by with their notebooks or their manuals on their laps, and they'll be reading. In fact, as I did, which I have been doing, I usually look at teacher's presence in the classroom. And I monitored for some time, and you can see the difference between those who are not doing anything, those who are not pursuing any program, and the difference between those who are pursuing programs. Punctuality and regularity. Most of the times you go there and you see that those who are pursuing programs, they will be having many excuses. So you see, the ripple effect is that those who are not pursuing the programs will also look at the other side and also join. And that is one serious effect, that there will be no teacher in the classroom. Though you see the person in the classroom as a teacher, but the person there has no serious effect on the children. And two, I will not restrict it to only the distance. I will talk about the sandwich program. For instance, this year, the sandwich program started 3 weeks in the 3rd week of reopening of the basic schools. And they are running for 8 weeks. So the 3rd week up to the 8th week, or add them together, so 11 weeks, the pupils are going to lose 8 good weeks. And imagine 3 teachers, only 3, from one school, leaves the school to pursue the sandwich program. The effect of such a situation on the children. And my problem is that, as Mr. Annie said, it is not by upgrading yourself. If the policy has been introduced, look at the policy very well, and those who are consuming the policy consumers, that is what we call the policy publics. They are the children who are teaching. The universities are running different calendar, and then the GS is also running a different calendar. Why don't we come together to see to it that this is here and this is there? Let's bridge it so that each will suffer a little, and then the balance will be okay for both. But if you look at the situation whereby they come, you don't have anything to do because now there is no room for them to enjoy study leave. And therefore, since the diploma syndrome is existing, everybody will go in for.
The diploma syndrome is existing, and therefore everybody's going for that. We have, as someone telling us that the teachers will have to learn from the Ghana Health Service. I don't know what they mean by that, but of course maybe Ghana Health Service is implementing something that GES needs to learn from, and that's a message from one of our social media platform members there. And Mr. Addison, obviously what Mr. Amanor outlined clearly tells us that there is a problem with this sandwich program. The end user is the children. Cape Coast has a problem.
Yes.
Low performance in BC. The results have just come out. We don't know what it is now yet, but it's been abysmal over the years. And obviously one of the contributing factors is this sandwich program. The teachers are not in the classroom, and there is obviously not effective school monitoring and supervision. How can we do that to stem the tide? How can we up this issue of monitoring and supervision?
The issue of monitoring and supervision. Yeah, as you rightly put it, I have some statistics here.
Okay.
Yeah, Cape Coast. Unfortunately, I couldn't get our stats for 2013-14, but I have that for 2009, 10, and 11. You can see that pupils from, in fact, places we least regarded are doing it well.
So this is statistics on what exactly?
On the BEC, analysis,
Okay.
BEC 2009 to 2011.
Okay.
And when you just go through it, you see the less endowed district, pupils from the less endowed district doing better. But when you come to Cape Coast, let me take this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 for Cape Coast on the grading. And you see that Cape Coast, as you rightly put it, has a whole lot of educational facilities there that could have, in fact, that could have helped to make better BEC results. But they come in there. It's actually affecting education. People try all they could to come to Cape Coast. One, my brother was saying that study leave is no more effective, but we have it for some categories of courses.
With low quota.
Yeah, the quota there. But you wouldn't believe that even the quota that we were given, we are not exhausting it to the full. And the reason is that maybe a teacher may be comfortably located in a second cycle institution with the bungalows and all these things. When he leaves the school to do the study leave, intensive work at the place of study, he goes back and maybe he may not get the place to be again. So he will choose to do the distance or the sandwich rather than going in for the study leave. And you know, somebody who is in for the study leave comes from another region, and then his place is actually filled. The teacher there may not be doing the sandwich or the distance, so the place is filled. But it comes to the Cape Coast metropolis, and then excuses. So really, you can see that when you go through, you see the less endowed districts are doing better. But in Cape Coast, as my brother said, they come, I'm going to see my lecturer, I'm going to present my, my thesis, I'm collecting my data and whatnot. And even the presence in the classroom is sometimes not very much felt. You see them there. But as to how or whether they are doing meaningful teaching,
so if there's a lot of distance program going on, and at the end of the day, the pupils are failing, then there's something wrong, Mr. Addison. Which is why I am tying in this issue of monitoring and supervision. Because if you are monitoring the teachers' movement and they are being supervised properly, of course, it can take care of this issue where they can still do the sandwich program in a certain way. That's why I'm asking whether we don't see a deficiency when it comes to monitoring and supervision in your district or in your region.
Yeah, monitoring, supervision. My brother here is a giant in it.
I know he's in charge
yes.
of that.
he does better with that.
Yeah.
But you see, there is a problem in the sense that sometimes the teacher who is supposed to be the head teacher, to be supervising, maybe on the same level with the teacher doing the distance. There are we have teachers who are pursuing their MPhil, their masters, some even doing their doctorate. But in basic schools, how can somebody doing the doctorate or MPhil go to somebody who hasn't got that? So the supervision, well, in the first place, the heads sometimes are cowed into submission. You see, they are not very much active to do it. And sometimes, I can say that in the case of supervision, some of our second supervisors are guilty. Yeah, they may be guilty. If they were to do effective supervision, I think this wouldn't have come. But there too, they have their problem. You go out, sometimes you don't have a means of transport. You take a taxi to go there, and when you come, no money syndrome. So the supervision there, in fact, it's actually the head teachers sometimes fear to approach their class teachers. The second supervisors too are not, in fact, rewarded enough to be able to do effective supervision.
I can respond to this.
Go ahead.
You know, the system that we have now is chaotic. It's not working. You can throw in thousands of supervisors. A system that doesn't work will not work. But this is my point. If you look at the professors and the lecturers themselves, we should be aware now that this sandwich program business and this, what's the other one?
Distance
It's not working. They themselves need to be forward-looking in terms of making sure that instruction takes place, the degrees have to be taking places in the classrooms. And I like the lady who gave you the example of Ghana Health Service. Where do nurses train? In the hospitals. Yeah. Where do doctors train? In the hospitals. And that's where they get their PhDs, their master's degrees, and their doctorates.
On the field.
On the field. That's what happens. We should do the same thing. So I'm speaking now to the lecturers and the professors. That system is not working. We can go on and on and on and throw in as many supervisors as possible. It doesn't work. They themselves should come down from the ivory towers. They need to be visible in the schools, those who are teaching the teachers, and be visibly in the schools where we can see the action. The point that I'm going to say is this. I've seen teachers with master's degrees and all kinds of degrees, but they can't even prepare teaching and learning materials. And I've had people tell me, but you know, I have a diploma, I have a master's degrees. If I don't have a teaching and learning material, how am I supposed to teach? And that tells you right there that in the course of picking up your diploma, the first year is where you learn to develop your own teaching and learning materials. And you don't teach these things in a vacuum. The schools are there. So the lecturers, the professors, the training institutions, all of them have to be now forward-looking to make sure that while they are teaching people for the master's degree, whatever it is, the students at every point in time are on task and they are benefited. We have a very low system that doesn't work and nobody seems to care. But I think the opportunity now is where we are going to be a little more assertive. We're going to recognize, number one, that system doesn't work. But at the end of the day, the people who are shortchanged are the youngsters. You know, and then absenteeism from students come from the same thing. The teacher is not there, so why should they be in the classroom? I've seen parents who have come to snatch their kids out of classrooms to go and work in some other places. So what I'm saying is that the system as we have doesn't work. we have to begin to look at another plan, which means that all the degrees and everything else should be hands-on in the classrooms, because that's where the action takes place. So let's begin to look at that properly, so that we don't come next year, because this same thing is going to happen again. People, by nature, we are animals of habits. If we realize that by leaving the classroom to go and do some research work, I can have a week off, we do it. But do your research work exactly where we are. Let me tell you, there's no platform where you can do better research than a classroom where you teach. That's where you learn to put together your schemes of work. That's where you learn to put together your instructional strategies, because the kids are there. That's where you learn to do your teaching and learning materials. They are there. So what I wanted to do is, if you can look at the pictures I brought in now, and I begin to share with you exactly how we can do this going forward. Because even in some of the villages, things are happening.
We'll have you share the pictures later on the show, in the show as we go along. But I think that the picture is already on our screen. So, Mr. Haffar, you can go ahead and talk about that.
Now, you know, this is in a school where the training is taking place. We haven't left the school campus to go to University of Nowhere to go and learn these skills. And the idea is that we even want to incorporate the young people in preparing for the teaching and learning materials. Many times in this culture, they are adults. They have all kinds of degrees, but they are afraid of the computers. But the young people are not afraid of the computers, and they have to be brought in so they can do some of the things that normally the grown-ups are afraid to do. Otherwise, can we see the other picture? Otherwise, this is what we have. We have young people sitting day in, day out, waiting for their teachers to finish their master's degree before they come to teach them. I mean, this is ridiculous. We can't have that in the 21st century. Look, you see how bored this guy in the front is? Ochina almost school, because he's bored. You know, look at the girl sitting next to them. I mean, they've come to school because they're enthused to learn. They folded their arms because it's not happening. Why? Because the teachers are doing fantastic programs. It doesn't work. We should stop that. The instructional, or the quality of instruction should reflect in the status of these young people and then pull them in. We are doing things like the way I was brought up in the 1950s. It doesn't work. This is the 21st century. We need to kick in the ICT, and every district should have a training center there.
Yeah. Mr. Amanor, do you agree? Obviously, they're doing something that is not working. Because the children are not benefiting, and yet people go and rip them off and say they're going to school and collecting degrees upon degrees that does not manifest. Mr. Amanor.
Yes, I think Mr. Anis has just mentioned some of the issues that I was about to even, and then even I wanted to go back to the teaching learning resources that he talked about.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you see, there is a program, as I've mentioned, there is a program at the university in social media, a full course, where every teacher to be or teacher training at the university pass through. But you see, when it comes to, they do the theories, the theoretical aspect of it. When it comes to the practical, they just pass by at the back of ATL. There are some people who do those practical aspects, and then they pay.
They contract people
Yes,
to
they
do their
contract
work for
people
them.
to pay. I think, so if you have passed through the mill very well, getting to the end, producing the material themselves, you cannot do. When you go to the classroom to teach, I'm not sure the kid can do it. Let's put that aside. And then there is one thing which is affecting Cape Coast education. I'm putting that in particularity because that is what we were discussing. You see, Mr. Addison is at the region and he bear me out. The institutions that we are working with, we have the local authority, which we have in those days, we call them local authority. That's the MA schools. And then we have the unit schools. When rules and regulations are pushed through the throats of the local authority, that's the district director, the other unit managers, we call them the Predi, Methodist, Anglican, they will do whatever they want to do. Like as we are talking now, there is no transfers or releases into Cape Coast, just to stop the attrition of the teachers. But unfortunately, you see, those unit schools are transferring the teachers within Cape Coast to the peripherals and then bringing those people who are coming to do the program at the universities. So you talk and talk and talk, and that is what we're talking about, monitoring and supervision. I have been sent from the district directorate to go and look at the teachers, make sure that they do the right thing. But when I go there, and the person I'm expecting to see has just been moved, a new person has come in. The new person, before you groom the person and you let the person know what you're about, at times they think that you are even against them because you want them to do the right thing. So until this thing changes, Ms. Addison here will tell you nothing will go on well in Cape Coast.
Mr. Addison, you had a reaction to
Yeah,
Mr. Haffar's
Mr. Haffar,
proposal that things must change.
Yeah, things must actually change. And then we must understand that if actually we are to gain better results, then there should be what we call synchronization. You see, my brother said, teachers leave the classrooms some weeks. Why can't we appeal to the university authorities or those running the programs, at least to synchronize their programs with our vacations? But sometimes when we go in to raise a set of topic, then hell breaks loose.
Well, let's raise it today.
Hell breaks
I
loose.
think this is a very big platform.
Yes. Hell breaks loose. Because, you see, they will be saying that we are autonomous.
Yes.
You are equally autonomous.
Yes.
So there's sometimes flexing of muscles. But if we can just come up with something. I learned this in middle school. Is it Cicero or something? This is my country. These are my laws. If you can't obey my laws, then you must leave. So if we don't at all tell them not to organize the programs, but there should be some synchronization. After all, what is the end result? The welfare of these children. But if we're able to do this very good work in Cape Coast, and at the end, our students fail, then have you achieved anything at all?
Well, Mr. Addison, you are from the regional office. Did you not know that this was happening? That there could be the issue of synchronization? Have you ever suggested a new platform?
Yes, we do suggest. But here is a case, two elephants are fighting. The lecturers are there, GES is here, and then the children just within are suffering. Because they have their mandate to do what they are doing. We also have our mandate. So I think there should be that judge, or we come together and agree. But it's not been so easy. It's not been so easy because they will tell you, we are organizing our programs. Your teachers can come, they can choose not even to come. But I think there should be a middle way because there should be no sitting on the fence. We are either part of the problem or we can equally be part of the solution. There can be no middle way. So we must come together, the lecturers and GES, in fact, come together and then we synchronize our activities so that the classrooms don't become without teachers.
Okay. On this note, we'll take a short break, look at a footage on what we've been collecting in Cape Coast so far, exploring the issues undermining the performance of pupils in Cape Coast municipality when it comes to basic education. Today we're looking at the issue of distance education and school monitoring and supervision. So we'll take a break. Welcome back. It's the curriculum. Tonight we are discussing distance education and school monitoring and supervision. I have three gentlemen in the studio here that we have been doing the discussion with. Daniel Amanor-Afari, he's the Circuit Supervisor, Cape Coast Metro Education Office. Kwesi Addison comes to us also from Cape Coast Regional Education Office. He's a Deputy Director of Education. Mr. Haffar is the founder of Gate Institute here based in Accra. Once again, we've been discussing distance education and school monitoring and supervision. We just saw the footage where, teachers teaching and some of the footage that were picked up in Cape Coast. And I have one of our social media friends saying that the issue of distance education they can use the issue of the internet instead of them physically going to the places and vacating the classrooms, because distance learning is what most people are using. Now people are here, they're studying in various universities outside the country, and yet they still go to school. They use weekends and they're off time. So why can't we pick up on that? Before I come to you, Mr. Amano.
Yes, I would like to respond to that. You see, in Ghana, a time has come where we know what the best practices are. We don't have to be doing village type education anymore, because now there's exposure. We can see here in Accra or anywhere else and begin to know what you're doing in MIT, Harvard, Singapore, China, and the rest of them. So again, the point comes back to this again, that every district should have a facility where now there's that exposure. But the time has come not to move people out of the classroom for any kind of course, anywhere, because that is a defeatist attitude. It doesn't work. And frankly, I'm disappointed that those who are doing the lecturing and the professoring and the rest of them haven't recognized that it's a problem. The Ghana belongs to all of us. These young people are the children of the country. But it's totally irresponsible pulling people out of the classrooms where you know they need to be into some ivory tower to collect degrees and come back and be dysfunctional. What I'm saying, I think you was talking about how young people are now copying lessons and that sort of thing. They will copy because they are not in a position in the classroom where they are hands-on. When the person is hands-on, what do you copy? You can't copy a thinking process. What we need to develop the teaching and learning materials involve thinking processes, step-by-step approaches. And frankly, when I looked at the young person who has the work on the board, that's a teaching and learning material right there. All of that, you see, what is going to happen after a little bit is that he's going to erase it from the board. But that's a teaching and learning material. That has to be captured, computerized, and it becomes a teaching and learning material. So the next time around, the teacher is not going to spend 20 minutes writing all this on the board to take a few seconds to wipe it off. We have to be very proactive. And I keep saying that there are best practices, but the professors and lecturers have to lead that charge. And again, you use synchronization. I'll call it the meeting of the minds. The Ghana Education Service, the universities, the various bureaucracies now have to kick in their degrees and make those degrees work. It's so frustrating in the sense that we've piled degrees upon degrees upon degrees, but the young people who are supposed to benefit from those degrees have been deserted in the classrooms. So what's the point of the degrees? Yeah. In other places too, where I've seen people who just finished senior high school, who are on task in the classrooms, those are the ones who are teaching, and they don't even have degrees. So the time has come where we have to begin to be functional, that this is my degree, and this is the product or the service that shows that really I'm qualified to be doing what I'm doing.
Mr. Anisaba, I agree with you, but I have a response from one of our social media friends who says that that will not be favorable to teachers who are in the villages and the private areas where there is no network. There is no electricity.
Let me address that one, because I hear that all the time. Look, we have about how many telecommunication companies don't we have here? Part of their corporate responsibility is that they have to make sure that there are facilities in the places where we're talking about. And I keep saying that it doesn't have to be in every school, but it has to be in a center. In a district. If these MTN and the Glo and the rest of them cannot put satellite dishes, one satellite dish in each of the 200 districts, now one of us on the same. And they are making enough money from this country. But what I'm saying is this: the focus has to come from those who are delivering the service. And then the telecommunication companies will not come to them. They have to go to those telecommunication companies and present a proposal that education is at a crisis in this country. We need your facilities because we want to access the best practices everywhere else and see how they come on board. By this time next year, these things should be happening. But under no circumstances should we pull young people out of the classrooms and for them to be sitting in some ivory tower making photocopies. It doesn't work. And I don't know why we continue doing the same thing. It doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, but Mr. Amanor, it is clear. We picked up also that there's a common practice where the teachers vacate the classrooms on Thursdays through Fridays, and each week, and they attend lectures in these two institutions, the Winneba and then the other ones. Is there no way that this can be managed in the sense that if you take out Thursday and Friday each week and you are away from the classroom, what happens to that child who needs to be, receiving that time on task? I know we've talked about it, but let's elaborate on this.
Thank you, Becky. I think the head teachers who are right there in the schools are not doing us any good, because Mr. Addison is at the region, I am at the district education office. I may not be in that particular school where the teacher leaves the school and attend the lectures. So if I don't have information about Becky going to attend lectures on Thursdays, how would I know? But you see, at the beginning of every term, we the secretary supervisor, we go there to take data about the teachers. And the format that we have designed requires that you indicate those who are doing ongoing programs and indicate the particular program they do. But by the time they bring it, they will not indicate, they will put dash, 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 meaning that there is nobody doing ongoing program. So if nobody comes to hint you, or some of the teachers who are peeved or are aggrieved comes and tell you that, sir, you see, this and this and this is happening in the school, so come and have a look at it. You will never know that some people are doing such a thing in the school. And like I was saying, the moment Akosua comes out, immediately he enrolls. Instead of the normal olden days where you have to be on probation for 3 years. Now it's not that way. And even I'm even sensing danger where the teacher trainees are now paying their own fees. You cannot bond them again because they are paying their fees. And therefore, whatever they want to do, that is what they are going to do. Because they've paid the fees instead of the government supporting them, now they are paying. And therefore, it's going to be another problem. So if we don't see them, we cannot stop them. But those who have seen, at least last year and this year, I've been able to stop about 13 of them. I just had the hint, went there early morning before they come to school. And by the time they comes, I've already occupied his classroom. So the people will be there with me and the teacher cannot leave until maybe 12:30, where you cannot attend the lectures. Then I'll leave the place. I did that and picked the data of those teachers and I'm monitoring them with telephone calls, not through the head teachers, but from from teachers who are ready to help me. But some of the head teachers are not trying to help us at all. And that's what we are doing.
So that tells me that monitoring and supervision can work.
Yes.
Can work. And if you're able to pick up the information, then
yes,
you can manage the issue better. And of course,
yes, and that is, I don't cut you, that is what I was saying, that if those there don't help us, you talk about monitoring and supervision, because as for monitoring and supervision, we have 3 areas that we go. We have quick visits, we have brief visits, and we have comprehensive visits. The quick visits, we go there to the school to pick data. The brief visit, you stay in the school for the whole day, visiting class to class, monitoring teaching and learning, and then assessing teachers' performance and the people performance. And a comprehensive visit, it can be a week, it can be 2 weeks, depending on what you are going to look for. That is the clinical type of the distance. So if I perchance today I'm on a quick visit, I just get there, pick my data, move to another school. Whatever happens after I've left, I may not know. And some of the head teachers have compromised with the teachers and they will never call you to tell you this is what is happening. But let me give you an instance. Last year, I was there when a head teacher called me that Asimesi is not coming to school, he's doing this, so I monitored the teacher. Now, during the promotion time, he brought his appraiser form, well appraised. I think if you're going to mark the person, you will get about 98%. So I said, Madam, what do you want me to do? If you have promoted the person already, then sign and send it to the regional director. So this is the problem we're facing. If we have well and up and coming head teachers supporting us, as I've said, we are doing our best. We cannot go to the schools, all the schools in one day. Unless I have 14 basic schools, 26 private schools.
So how do you manage 14?
That is the issue. So if you talk about
14 basic schools?
yes, if you talk about always monitoring and supervision, that becomes a very big, and that is what we want. The core of the supervision is the head teachers when the district office or the regional office has entrusted supervision or the what they call it, the basic supervision into their care. If they don't help us, we cannot do all the job at the same time.
I understand some head teachers were being removed, and the director, Mr. Kwesi, made mention of that we picked up that information. I don't know if it featured in the documentary or not, but that some head teachers who are not helping will be removed. And then he was quite passionate also about the issue that if sometimes when they are removed, people also try to remove them, and all these things going on. And, he made sort of
please, can I come in a little over here?
Yes, before you come in on that, on this issue of monitoring and then this issue of supervision, Mr. Amanor has 14 schools, 14 basic public schools, you call them, and then 26 government private schools. As for the private schools, we know they are performing. The problem is with the government schools. How is he able to manage these number of schools? I mean, don't you have a system where you can, all these people that are going to these sandwich programs and things, can't you devise a way or let them think of how to, address this issue?
He scratched the surface of something when he said we must put in some measures to ensure that teachers remain in the classrooms and yeah, so that when a teacher comes straight from as the College of Education, at least there should be some time that you should teach for some number of years before you can be allowed to pursue some of these courses. But they come day one, they are there. On his, what do I say, many schools he's supervising. It's the system.
Before you roll, I have a caller on the line here. Matthew, Ashanti Region. You're on air. Maxwell, you're on air.
Yeah, Ashanti Region.
Maxwell, go ahead.
Yeah, my problem is what the provider wants to say is totally wrong. In the sense that we cannot bring in the headmaster. Because, for instance, to be the supervisor, there could be a problem, you will come, they will report to you, and there will be no action being taken. There could be an organization who could have decided an example. For instance, if the teacher is being posted to me, and the teacher is to be accepted to teach in my school, there could, I will love the teacher, and then, for instance, by 3 days, 5 days or about some subsequent days, a letter will be coming from the office by saying that we are being overstaffed. The teacher will be taken from my school, and you could realize that the same day the teacher will be taken from the school, on the 3 days ahead, another teacher will be posted to the school. What do we accept you, the headmaster, to do? So on the circumstance whereby our leaders want us to help them, then they also have to help us. They cannot sit on the radio whereby they have the platform to bring you the headmaster. Meanwhile, they are not doing the best. For instance, right now, when we are about to vacate, there was an issue that rationalization is taking place. And that rationalization, they are saying that on Ashanti region, we are being overstaffed. Whereby we are being overstaffed, some teachers have been taken from our school. They have to be released to the regional office for them to be posted to another region. And could you imagine when now the number of people that we are having now being posted in, and at the end you will sit down, when you need the head teacher. What do you expect me the head teacher to do? Whereby when I'm, for instance, a CCTC, well now if you happen to be the manager of the DCD, and someone comes with a letter that he has been posted to come and work over there, can you deny that person? So my question to the honorable member who spoke that thing is if they really want to be the head teachers or if they really... Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Max. I didn't get the end of your question, but we'll come to that. Abu from Tamale. You're on air. Abu, you're on air. Abu from Tamale.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
But I want to make some contribution in the program.
Go ahead, Abu.
Yeah, talking about the teachers authenticity from Saturday to Friday. And sometimes when you look at the things, you cannot blame the headmasters. Simply because sometimes some of the masters, they are bribing the safety supervisors. So sometimes when you report them to the supervisor will say he will take it to the office. And finally, you see that nothing will happen. And if the supervisor will tell the teacher who is always absent himself from Thursday to Friday, that this is what your headmaster has told, so you have to be careful. And when the master comes to school, you know that he's attacking the headmaster. And to be like we are hating him or we are jealousing him in his work. And secondly, there's something that I want to tell about the recent news that they said that they should permit all the people teachers in the system and place the professional teachers. When you look at things, especially the north here, in the rural areas, is the people teachers who are doing enough. Because they know that they are people teachers, they don't have this certificate, and their appointment can be terminated at any time. When they send them to place, you are staying there. But the professional teachers, they know that they are having their diploma or they are having their own certificate. When they send them, they don't want to do. So looking at things, when they permit all the people teachers, sometimes to affect the education especially in North here or in the rural area in general. So in my opinion, they should have give them maybe 1 year or 1.5 years. Because some of them are doing a distance course. After that, we can terminate the appointment. But to terminate the distance, they are not going to work.
Thank you, Abu from Tamale. I have Benjamin Latte in Accra. Your name?
Yes, madam, my question goes to the safety supervisor.
If you can speak up for me, Mr. Latte.
Yes, I said my question goes to the safety supervisor.
Go ahead.
You said that when you remove somebody, you always open the review. Is that a real canker to the education sector? And if it is so, what has to be done and what has not been done and who should do and when should that be done to save the life of our children? My second question goes to the safety supervisor who has 14 schools and 23 primary schools. I believe in this time and age, there's always a system of monitoring and evaluation. I don't know scientific ways of which then education service has devised after all these years to do a quick monitoring of who is doing what and why what is not being done and how what is not being done can be corrected. Then my last question is also goes to the fact that in this type of computer is we are saying that we cannot do virtual learning and want to do physical learning. Then the issue of students leaving the classroom will always be with us because nobody wants to stay in a low level and be paid a bigger salary and have to go getting grades and being called somebody of nowhere. I think these are the critical issues I would like to know answers to. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Ben, there from Accra. We have a number of issues we will be going to here. Mr. Anis Haffar, somebody had a response to your issue of teaching and learning materials. The person is saying that there's issue even with the colleges and where the teaching, the educational institutions themselves are not equipped to help them to be able to develop teaching and learning materials, and therefore he thinks that is a defeatist idea. So we will have you react to that if you can put that down, but that is from, and then we'll go to the very first caller, Bax Donko from Ashanti. A lot of attacks for you, Circuit Supervisor.
Yes.
But he says that we should not be blaming the headmasters because you are blaming the headmasters, and we should not put everything on the headmasters.
For the absenteeisms and
yes, what's your take on that? And then we'll move the discussion.
I think we are not, if you are doing your work well, when we speak on air, you don't come in because it doesn't affect you. Here we are talking about those who are not doing their work. And it is happening in Cape Coast. If it's in Ashanti region and is not doing it's not affecting him, fine, so be it. But what I'm going through in Cape Coast is what I'm talking about. Now, you came there yourself and you saw it. It is not something that we came from Cape Coast to tell you. It is documented. So, my brother, I think we are not just here to say anything that we want to say, but now they have come there to pick them and we are discussing. And then two.
But I think that the headmaster has a concern about the movement of teachers. When teachers are moved and they are not replaced, I think that was his concern. And then you expect him to know that, or get something done. I think that's a from Ashanti. He also had that concern as well.
That concern, if your teacher had been moved and you don't inform the office that there is a vacancy, that is what I said. At the beginning of every term, we go there to pick data on the school. If the school has a full complement of teachers, fine. If they don't, we inform the office to send some there. But at times with this, we realize that there is a clash of subjects. Maybe you have sent 2 teachers who are teaching the same subject in one school. When the need arises, we take one out and bring another one. But at times you see that because they are favorites, when you take them, then those things comes in. We are not against anybody. And now there is a policy. If there is an overstaffing of staff, teachers in your school, there's a problem. So make sure that we make all the schools on equal terms, that the number of teachers that are needed in a particular school at a time are being posted there. So my brother, if they have taken any teacher and they have not been replaced, just get to the office or your secretary and tell them that there is a vacancy in my school. Bring some teachers there.
How about the issue of bribing? I hear you are very rich. The gentleman's allegation, that's is it Ben from Accra?
Ben from Accra.
Abu from Tamale.
Abu from Tamale. Abu, I'm not sure of what you are saying, but I don't know if you are in Tamale, then I will look for the supervisors in Tamale and tell them that they should stop taking bribes because I have a very bad name in Cape Coast that I'm very headstrong. I'm not very flexible to teachers. So if you come to Cape Coast, you will come and see what is going on there. Amanor is very headstrong and he will never do that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Addison, you want to pick up from that issue of absenteeism?
Yeah, I was coming to the aid of second supervisors and head teachers here. Maybe it may not be all through distance and then sandwich programs. But my sister, where most of our teachers are assemblymen, assembly members, that is where the problem is.
That's a new development. We haven't had this before.
That's also there because this teacher may be a member on about 1, 2, or 3 committees. You ask him, I'm attending social services committee meeting. We are meeting the DC. Go until the head teacher to say, I'm not allowing you to go. And that is going to happen.
But that's at the detriment of the pupils. At the same time, they are collecting their pay. So where do you clock in and when do you clock out?
I'm saying
and get paid.
And they are paid. But he's on national duty.
I mean, how do you national duty at the detriment of the pupils' education?
Yes.
And you allow that?
But in politics, anything goes. The moment you say that you're going to be a little bit...
I think that you have to separate politics from policy. There's a difference between politics, Mr. Addison, and policy.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes.
You can't say it's politics when somebody has to be in the classroom.
Yes.
I don't think Mr. President, if he's watching the show, would agree with what you just said, that this is politics. He will not condone, but somebody who needs to be in the classroom to go for a committee meeting. Yes. At the detriment of that child. Of course, if his child needs to be taught and the teacher is not there, you question. And I believe you will question that too.
It happens. It happens. And there are sometimes we are so much devastated. We wouldn't know how to handle such issues. If you are a director and there is a teacher in your school who is an assembly member, serving on a committee, being a presiding member, being this, and you don't allow him to operate, before you are aware, maybe somewhere. What about a second supervisor? You say, hey, Mr. Amanor is so hard.
Rather unfortunately, we're running out of time, so we'll let you take the last.
Very good.
And then,
okay, good. If I understood the caller properly, what you are saying is that the people who are teaching, the teacher themselves, do not have to prepare teaching and learning materials? Is that what he said?
Yes.
Well, now
yes. And if you can quickly, 30 seconds.
Right, that's a huge indictment. But there are projects that have been done here in Accra where young people, P4, P5, P6, are developing their own teaching and learning materials. It's how we teach them.
So it's possible.
Of course it's possible.
Thank you
It's
very
not a
much.
defeatist attitude at
Thank
all.
you very much, Mr. Anis Haffar. I believe you agree with me that education is the best asset to bequeath a child. Correct?
That's correct.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Anis Haffar. You're founder of Gate Institute. Mr. Daniel Amanor-Afari, you're Executive Supervisor, Cape Coast Metro Education Office. Kwesi Addison, Deputy Director of Education. You came to us from Cape Coast Regional Education Office. It's been the curriculum tonight. We've had support from Star Ghana, strengthening transparency, accountability, and responsiveness in Ghana. We've been discussing distance education and school monitoring and supervision. Thank you all for your contributions. You can join us same time again in 2 weeks on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. where you watch the documentary, and then you join us for the studio discussions 6 p.m. on Friday evening as well. Is the curriculum. Remember, it is good for professional development to take place, but it must not take place at the detriment of our children's education and learning. Good evening. My name is Rebecca Ikpe.